physician, specialist, and notable environmental conservationist every Wednesday, 8 to 9 p.m. here on WeFM 99.9. Your health matters. Ask Dr. Thompson any burning question you have related to health. Your health matters. Dr. Thompson will examine healthcare, highlight important environmental issues, and look at what's hot in science and technology and the next wave of emerging diseases and health trends. So this and every Wednesday, join us 8 to 9 p.m. on BFM 99.9 because your health matters.
People's Pharmacy for all your pharmaceutical, skin, and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in Kingstown. They open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Call them today at 784-456-1170. People's Pharmacy also stock vitamins and supplements, personal care items, toiletries, children and adult pampers, and much, much more. And of course, get your prescriptions filled by a friendly and professional pharmacist. People's Pharmacy. Come in today and let us serve you.
All right, Dr. Thompson,
yes,
for you.
Thank you very much, Kamal. I want to apologize about the little late start this evening. As you could see, I'm not in studio, but it doesn't mean that you cannot put those questions that you really want to ask. And our master class technician, Kamal Archibald, will certainly read out your questions and take your calls and relay them to me, and we will try and answer them. Remember, 457-9997, WhatsApp or straight call. This is your health matter. As a physician, I want to tell you that the 1990s was a profound era of discovery. And a lot of the major discoveries in medicine, modern medicine, was done in the 90s. But we are still trying to grapple and understand some of these discoveries. And I want to explain something to you very carefully and very slowly, because today we have really a tremendous amount of people throughout the world who are developing a series of illnesses, non-communicable diseases, as they call it. They're developing diabetes, developing high blood pressure. They're also developing Alzheimer's and cancer. Alzheimer's and cancer are really fast growing, but there's nothing more fast growing than diabetes. So it's been shooting up the charts in terms of the number of illnesses. I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this program, as you lay back in your seat, in your chair, in your settee, or around the table, you may be one of those individuals who already know that you have diabetes and you're receiving treatment for it. But you may also be a person who have not yet been diagnosed because you don't know. Or maybe you're a person that within a short space of time, you too may develop diabetes, high blood pressure, or some sort of NCD. I certainly don't want to wish it on you. But in the 90s, I want to say 1998, a group of doctors led by a doctor called Dr. Luis Ignarro received the Nobel Prize in Medicine. That is the Nobel Prize in Medicine for discovering how and why people develop high blood pressure and why people develop a number of diseases. They discovered what makes a blood vessel become tight, stiff, and narrow, and wouldn't expand, and what will make a blood vessel that is stiff actually expand again and open itself up. And let me say that again. They discovered the reason why a blood vessel in somebody's body can open up and allow more blood to flow through it, as opposed to somebody else whose blood vessels are remaining stiff and tight and constricted. And as a result, they're having high blood pressure, heart disease, and a host of other illnesses, like leading to diabetes and so forth. It was such a profound discovery. They discovered, and let me say the word, they discovered that there was a substance that was being produced inside our blood vessels, your blood vessels, that would allow the blood vessel to open up and dilate. Let me put it, become more open. And what if that substance is not present, that it causes the blood vessel to become tight and narrow and stiff, and blood pressures to go up. I've been repeating myself, but I'm repeating myself deliberately. Those doctors, led by Dr. Louis Ignarro, discovered something called nitric oxide, NO. NO is the word. When I mean NO, I don't mean no, I mean nitrous oxide. The terminology for it basically being nitrous oxide, NO. It's a chemical name. And the lining inside your blood vessels have the ability to produce this nitric oxide. And when it does so, once again, I'm repeating myself, it allows blood vessels to expand. Now, they found out that this was very important, not only in terms of the blood vessels leading from your heart to the rest of your body, but also blood vessels going into your brain. And also the blood vessels in some of the sexual parts of your body, such as your penis, allows for erections and allows for the use of erection for sexual activity. They discovered that with some persons by the age of 40, 45, or 50, the amount of this nitric oxide being produced inside the line of the blood vessels starts to become diminished. So that some people, they start having problems with their heart and with high blood pressure. Other people, some of the same people, start having problems, especially males, with erectile dysfunction because the blood vessels in their penis cannot dilate and allow blood to flow into the penis. And also, they start having problems with the start of Alzheimer's and the flow of blood into the brain. Let me say that the issue of heart disease and high blood pressure is complex, and it's not just strictly related to the nitric oxide. And the problem in relation to erectile dysfunction similarly. And Alzheimer's, they have other components to it. But this whole subject and issue of nitric oxide became the big thing. Now, what does this nitric oxide do? I'm going to go through them one more time. This nitric oxide helps with causing blood vessels to expand. And so, as a result, if a blood vessel expands, more blood can flow through that blood vessel. And blood that contains oxygen, that means there's more oxygen delivery to the tissue that the blood vessels are going to. It also means that in terms of other parts of the body, in terms of the bone marrow, in terms of other tissues of the body that need to recover from injury, that this whole process is very important. Now, in this short program, I may not be able to go into all the details, but I want you to understand that when your body starts to reduce the amount of nitric oxide being produced inside the blood vessels, irrespective of where in the body the blood vessels are, you start having problems such as high blood pressure, erectile dysfunction. You start having problems like Alzheimer's, and you also start even having problems with your immune system. It sounds strange, but it's a whole other thing. But technology and discovery has allowed us to develop this information, and that is why these doctors got the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 1998. Now, many of you may say, I've never heard about this before. Well, they've not been talking about this. This is why I'm starting the discussion today, to better explain to you what is taking place in your body. Now, I want to tell you one more time that this nitric oxide that's produced in terms of the inner lining of your blood vessels, there are certain things that can inhibit it or can destroy it or can prevent it from being produced. These things naturally include the type of diet you have been eating for a period of time, for a number of years, especially if the diet is one that is very high in sugar, what we call a high glycemic diet, especially if the diet is one with a lot of added sugar, unnecessary sugar, a lot of refined carbs, of ultra processed foods, if you would understand what I mean by ultra processed foods, along with a lot of the wrong type of meats. And believe it or not, we are now realizing that fish, chicken, and pork are actually good meats. Believe, yes, pork is actually considered as a relatively good meat, especially if you trim away. But red meat has serious problems, especially if it has a lot of fat associated with it. And we found that these things over a period of time tend to act to decrease the amount of nitric oxide being produced in your body. We've also found that exercise is one of the things that helps to improve your nitric oxide production. So therefore, a lack of exercise, being sedentary, not moving out, not exercise, not getting the amount of exercise that you should be getting on a daily basis, right? Then your nitrogen oxide levels start to drop. We've also found that there are certain foods, and this is one of the most important things I want to tell you today. There are certain foods that you normally will eat that contain substances in them that will help in the production of the nitric oxide. These foods are foods that are high in what we call nitrates. Now, I'm sad to say I may be talking a lot of technical stuff and you may not fully understand what I'm saying. But there are certain foods that are high in a substance called nitrates. And when these foods get into your body, first of all, in your mouth, there are bacteria in your mouth and bacteria in your stomach that help to convert these nitrates into other substances that will eventually be properly absorbed so your body can make nitric oxide. If you have been on a diet that lacks these foods, then I'm telling you, as you get older, by the age of 45, 50, 60, your body will start to become unable to produce this nitric oxide properly inside your blood vessels. Now, we have found that a lot of individuals are on diets that do not have these nitrate producing foods in them. Once again, you may be an individual who is what we call a grazer. A grazer. You are a snacker. You're eating the corn curls. You're eating high sugar foods. You're eating all kind of ultra processed food. You're drinking a ton of sodas. You're drinking tons of sugar. And those foods and your diet may not contain the important things like our grandparents and so forth used to eat. And you should instead be using these foods that are high in nitrates, and also exercise, and this will take you a long way. Now, let me put it this way. Some of the best foods, I'm going to go down a list of them. After, Kamal, should we take the break now and let me come back, and then I'll start to talk about the foods that are high in nitrates. Let's take the break and then we come back and then we see.
People's Pharmacy for all your pharmaceutical, skin and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in Kingstown. They open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Call them today at 784-456-1170. People's Pharmacy also stock vitamins and supplements, personal care items, toiletries, children and adult pampers, and much, much more. And of course, get your prescriptions filled by a friendly and professional pharmacist. People's Pharmacy. Come in today and let us serve you.
Yes. Now, I want to start off by telling you that when you hear about colored foods, red foods and blue food, red foods and blue foods, generally we consider these to be excellent foods. Beet is an excellent food because it is very high in these substances called nitrates. And when you eat them, the nitrate is going to start the process of being converted by the saliva and the bacteria in your mouth and in your stomach into other substances that eventually will help your blood vessels to produce adequate amounts of nitric oxide. We've also found, hello? Yes, we've also found that dark green leafy vegetables, now I'm talking about spinach, green spinach. I'm talking about kale. I'm talking about broccoli. all those sorts of things, they also are high in nitrates. Maybe not as high as beet, but boy, they are also high. And they too are going to help with the adequate production of nitric oxide. Now, there are a number of other foods that are going to be important, but what I want to turn to is that besides eating foods that are high in nitrates, I want you to also understand you have to eat foods that are also high in omega-3 fatty acid. Because believe it or not, the omega-3 fatty acid helps in the production of the nitric oxide and helps to prevent its breakdown. So it's present. There are not a lot of things that are breaking it down. Now, let me tell you other things that tend to diminish the amount of nitric oxide production. We found that a number of antacids, people who suffer from stomach problems, ulcers, and so you are expected only to be taking your stomach medication for a period of time. But studies have found that people have been on some of these medications for years. Now, I know some people say, well, if I stop taking it, I will feel bad. But you should be seeing a doctor to find if you really need these ulcer-related medications, right? Because they have also been found to diminish the production of not only the bacteria that helps to convert nitrates to nitric oxide, but also they aid in the whole destruction of nitric oxide. Now, I could go on because exercise is an important means of also generating nitric oxide. And if those persons who are not exercising, who are not engaging in some sort of active physical activity, if you're sitting down on a couch, if you're just lazing around most of the time, thinking that that's the way to do it, you are going to also have a reduced production of nitric oxide. Let me go back again, because I'm going to want most of you who are listening to this program, when you get a chance, to Google nitric oxide and to realize how important it is today, and that it's only been over the last 20 plus years that we've begun to understand. And the nitric oxide, as I stated in the beginning, is produced when you eat these good foods high in nitrate, or when you avoid certain things, high sugar foods, other things like that. And so smoking, alcohol, lack of exercise, that is going to decrease the production of the nitric oxide. If you could get all this sorted out, you could have nitric oxide being produced in your blood vessels well into your 60s, 70s, and 80s, as opposed to it being diminished and used up by the time you're 40 or 45. If you're 40 or 45, you will start to see that the nitric oxide is going to start to constrict your blood vessels and make it stiff. Blood pressure starts to rise. Blood pressure starts to rise. But when they discovered nitric oxide, they started to use some medication to see how they could enhance the nitric oxide to help bring down blood pressure and so forth. Guess what? They found that after they were trying these new medications, people, especially men, started complaining of a side effect. Kamal, I want to explain that side effect for you. The men started to complain that when they were taking these medication, they started to have an erection as a side effect. And so the researchers started to research, and they soon were able to develop tablets called Viagra and Cialis, so that they could deliberately help persons to have an erection. So what was this all about? These medications, guess what they did? They boost the amount of nitric oxide being produced. And in the case of men and women, right, the nitric oxide was able to expand the blood vessels inside the penis and allow more blood to flow through. Of course, what that meant was that the penis would get engorged and enlarged, and men who were having problems having an erection now was able to have one. And so the whole era of erectile dysfunction medication was born. That's really been over the last 20 to 25 years. Now, I want to explain something else to you. They found out that the nitric oxide was important as one of the stimulus and the start for Alzheimer's. You understand? That, let me put it for again. A lack of the nitric oxide. So around the time that 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, when the nitric oxide level was dropping because people were not eating the proper diet, people were not exercising, people were not doing several things. They were taking certain medications that was diminishing the nitric oxide. They found that Alzheimer's was also starting up. And they also found that when these persons started to change their diet to beet, leafy green vegetables, and to add exercise and things like that, that they had some bouncing back of the nitric oxide levels, started to rise again, and their brain function started to improve. This is also true for the immune system. You might find that strange, but I want you to understand that the proper functioning of your immune system also depends on this nitric oxide production. And the program today doesn't really allow me to get into details, to get into all the immunology, but I am broadening this for you so that you yourself can go and do some research and reading. Let me once again say the things that are going to, during your early lifetime, that are going to significantly reduce your blood vessels in your heart, in your penis, in your brain, from properly dilating and allowing blood to flow through it properly. The things that are going to diminish that nitric oxide will include, and let me say, I'm going to say them one more time. I usually use a word, SSS, rump. SSSS, rump. The first S is sugar, added sugar, excess sugar. The second S is salt, sodium, high salt and sodium. Another S, you might say it's also sugar, is soda. Soda, sugary beverages, soda. And the fourth S is saturated fat, mainly from red meat. Mainly from red meat. Not so much meat from chicken, from fish, or from pork. And I'm hoping I'm making that clear. And then also, what helps to diminish the nitric oxide levels is rump. And by R, I am also looking at the word refined carbs. Refined carbs. There's so much processing of foods being done today. Refined carbs. And then rump means ultra processed food. Oh gosh, refined carbs, now ultra processed food. And I may not be able to describe what ultra processed food is today, but a lot of the food we eat today is not natural, you know. It's not natural. They take a bit of this, a bit of that, the bit of that. They add some coloring, they add some sweeteners, they add some preservative, they shape it, make it look as if it is real, but it's a whole big set of stuff put together. Ultra processed food. And then in terms of what we're looking at, as I said in terms of meat, in terms of there's a lot of what we call processed meat. I'm talking about salami and sausage. A lot of you love that sort of stuff, but it's all ultra processed. And sadly, a lot of these things are going to diminish the amount of nitric oxide. So what I wanted to do today was really to open up your eyes and to reveal to you that the Nobel Prize for Medicine from 1998, some 25 years ago, set us on a course, set us on a pathway to better understand why diabetes developed, why high blood pressure was getting out of hand, why there was so much heart disease, why Alzheimer's was developing, and additionally, why our immune system was just going crazy, you know, and just out of hand. And it's going to be important that we know, as Teaching Time Saves 9, for those persons who are still relatively young, you could avoid these type of things by that change in your diet to foods that are higher in nitrate, exercise, and helping to reduce the things that destroy the nitric oxide. I don't know if I have reached you this evening, but this is a subject I want to talk about. I've broached it before, but I'm going to be talking a lot more about this because it's real. Now, there are also some substances, some supplements. We call them L-citrulline and L-arginine. To an extent, these supplements can also help to convert into nitric oxide. The type of nitrates and their supplements. So you could use natural foods, which I think is best, or you could sometimes take some of these supplements, but really truly the natural foods are the best.
We have a caller.
Yes. We have a call there. Hello?
Good night, Doc.
Yes.
Dr. Thompson, how are you, sir?
I'm fine. I'm wonderful. Wonderful. Yes.
Yeah. This is calling from Barbados.
Yes, you know, believe it or not, I should be in Barbados next week. I might give you a call or look you up. Okay?
Yes, that would be good. That would be good.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Yes.
Anyway.
Tell me your question.
Yeah, you're listening to you attentively.
Yes.
Me and my 12-year-old grandson, and he's repeating a lot of what you say. So he's very interested. But I hear you saying something down about beets, leafy green veg, and all these
Yes.
kind of things that would build your NO.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Right. So, what about a person as a warfarin that can't use these things that you mentioned? What can he take to build his NO?
Well, I do agree with you that, you know, things like broccoli and so forth, you have to watch them very carefully, you know. Um,
Right.
and that is why I mentioned about certain other supplements like L-arginine and L-citrulline, yes, and which can be obtained over the counter from any pharmacy or so, and can be
Right.
used as an additional supplement. Now, when I
Right.
mentioned it's not all these leafy green vegetables that are bad in relation to the warfarin. Some of them will certainly have a fair amount of what we call vitamin K in them. And to all the other listeners, there's always been a concern that people who are on blood thinners that
Like me.
you have to be careful about some of these type of foods and so forth. But I want to say that the vast majority of people just don't want to eat these things and don't eat these things anyway, you know? And I want to get them to try and eat them. So you've raised a very important question specific to persons who may be on blood thinners and so forth. But if you're not on blood thinners and you're on warfarin, Coumadin, and so forth, you can take some of these products. If not, go to the L-citrulline or L-arginine, especially the L-citrulline may be a good alternative. But in addition, the exercise. And in addition, if you're also on antacid or Xanax or other medication that's been used for stomach ulcers, I want you to see your doctor to examine whether those medication may in fact be helping to diminish your NO, your nitric oxide as well. Okay?
Right. But Doc, can you tell me what is the endocrinologist?
Now, an endocrinologist is a doctor who deals specifically with certain glands inside your body called the endocrine glands. You have a gland at the bottom of your brain called the pituitary gland, which is the endocrine gland. You have a gland in your neck called the thyroid gland, which is an endocrine gland. You have the pancreas that is linked with diabetes. That is an endocrine gland. There's also two glands on top of a gland on top of each kidney, right? And some certain other glands that are endocrine glands. And an endocrinologist is a specialist who basically looks at these specific glands. But he's not looking at the heart, he's not looking at the lungs, he's not looking at the intestines. What he's looking at are these specific glands that are located in certain parts of the body that may cause certain type of disease.
And they're all interconnected.
If what?
Are they all interconnected?
I don't know. I may not have heard that last phrase there. Sorry.
No, I said the glands that you just spoke about. Are they interconnected?
They are not. They are somewhat interconnected with each other, but really they serve specific function. Your pancreas deals with diabetes, so your thyroid may be all right, but your gland under your neck under your brain, sorry, your pituitary is somewhat connected with these other glands, but the connection is largely a chemical one. Let's say substance may be released that has an effect on a gland some distance away. It's not that it's going to be connected by a nerve always. Some will be connected by nerves too, you know, but it's a complex array. The way the Lord made our bodies, it's remarkable, you know. And today you see a car. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
In closing, let me say this.
Yeah.
I want to tell the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, of which I'm half Vincentian, because you know I always say my mother and father are Vincentians. Walker from Stubbs and Walker from Shorty Belair, and I'm from the Horn clan. So I just want to tell the people of St. Vincent that they should listen to you on Wednesday nights, because they are lucky to have someone like yourself, Doc. They come every Wednesday night, and I listen to you every Wednesday night. And come to the people every Wednesday night and educate them in a very simplistic way. I mean, in a way that anybody can understand.
Thank you.
Take note of the things you say to help to guide people into better health, or to help them to extend the lifespan longer. And the people of St. Vincent should be grateful for that.
Yes.
You know, so that's basically, I want to congratulate you, and that's basically what I want to say to you, Doc.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you. But you surprised me. I wonder if you've ever said that before, that your links with Chateaubriand. You know, I'm a Chateau man. You know what I mean?
Well, I know.
I'm from Chateaubriand. I was born in Chateau. I was born in Chateaubriand. You understand? I didn't know you had links in Chateaubriand. Huh?
Yes.
Well, look at that. Huh?
One of my parents come from Shorty Belair. I'm sure which one. My mother's a Horn and my father's a Jack. And I'm not exactly sure who came from where.
Yes.
You that one from Shorty Belair, one from Stubbs.
Well, look at that. I tell you something. Look at what are you saying? My grandmother was from Stubbs. So what's going on today? You must have known. Are you joking? Eh?
I am so serious.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And I before coming over, I'll give you a call. I'll give you a buzz. Okay?
Please do. I'm looking forward to it.
Sure. Okay. Yes.
Okay, Doc.
Well, everybody, thank you very much, Mr. Well, you know, let me just sum everything up. I have only been able to introduce to you the concept of this nitric oxide. I want to apologize that I can't go into the kind of detail, the chemistry that I might need to go in, but I want to explain to you that this nitric oxide is linked to the development of diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, Alzheimer's, and other things like that. And that the use of red and dark green vegetables, I'm talking about, I didn't mention it, but I should have said, besides beet, I should have said red spinach. I should have said red onions. All these things are damn good. And the dark green vegetables, whether green spinach and kale and arugula and all these things, we could go down the line. But in addition, fish, especially those high in omega-3 fatty acid, the fatty fishes, salmon is at the head of that list. But dolphin and all this other things, these things are good. Mahi, they're good. They have an omega-3 that help to prevent the breakdown of the nitric oxide. And then staying away from all these other substances, the SSS, the added sugar, the salt, the sodas, the saturated fats. then they refine this and refine that and ultra process this and ultra process that, all these funny kind of foods. It's a serious matter. But certainly, certain type of saturated fats, especially from red meat, when it's broken down in your body, it produces these kind of free radicals that have to be, they're broken down. And boy, it is really critical that they're broken down. Nitric oxide is so important. Even though your nitric oxide has gone low, you can boost it up again. You can boost it up again. And you will start to see improvement in your diabetes, in your high blood pressure. You see improvement in a lot of other health functions. But please also exercise. Avoid smoking, avoid alcohol, all this kind of thing. And it will go a long way. Kamal, I don't know if I'm out of time, you know?
Well, we've got just 1 minute remaining.
Yes. But I want to say that for the majority of us, and there are now tests that we can do for this nitric oxide, but those tests may not be available here in St. Vincent. But poor diets in particular are the big thing. And for men, if you want to enjoy some of the niceties of life, right? Kamal, you understand what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes.
If you want to enjoy and continue to enjoy those things, don't let your nitric oxide become diminished, or you are going to feel a little diminished in the eyes of the person you're with. You understand? And so, with that, I want to say your health matters. Your health definitely matters. And it's important that you read up a little more on this, address it, supplement what I've been talking about. I'm sure you'd find a lot more. The Nobel Prize in Medicine, 98, was a good invention, good initiative. And I'm hoping that by bringing it to you, it will help you in staying healthy. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bid you a very good evening and good night.
People's Pharmacy, for all your pharmaceutical, skin and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in Kingstown. They open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Call them today at 784-456-1170.